Let's talk about finishes. Most all fiber, yarn, or fabric will get some type of finishing before becoming available for purchasing, either it be by designers and manufacturers or the ultimate consumer. Fabric fresh off the loom without any finishes is referred to as gray goods. You can check out a flowchart diagram at the bottom of page 2 and you'll see how gray goods are converted to finished goods. We can categorize finishes in many different ways. One way is to categorize them based on their lifespan. You can have a permanent finish, such as mercerization, which lasts for the life of the textile. A durable finish, such as wrinkle resistance, lasts for the life of the textile, but its effectiveness decreases with use or age. A temporary finish, such as simple calendering, lasts until the textile is washed or dry cleaned. And a renewable finish, such as some water repellent finishes, can be reapplied by consumers or dry cleaners. Finishes are accomplished by mechanical, chemical, or heat processes. Now, a few of the other ways we can categorize finishes is their timeliness or what their end purpose is to enhance. The routine finishes are the types of finishes for fibers or fabrics that are generally or routinely done for most optimum performance for that fiber blend, or fabric. Skip 2 of them there. All right, routine finish of singeing. This burns away fiber ends projecting from the fabric's surface to minimize or eliminate the interference of those fibers for other finishes. Often the first step finishing operation for many fabrics because it will reduce pilling. Biopolishing is an alternative to singeing. Biopolishing uses an enzyme to permanently remove the surface fuzz from the spun yarns of cellulose or cellulose blends. This will make colors look brighter because the fabric's smooth surface does not scatter the light as much as a fuzzy surface would. The smooth surface also has a crisper surface for printing later as well. Scouring is a finish that is typically done to wool to remove soil, wool grease, and vegetable matter. Wool grease, also referred to as lanolin, is reclaimed for pharmaceuticals or cosmetics as it goes into the human skin with less feeling of greasiness than ordinary animal fats. These would be used in lotions and creams and topical antiseptics. Scouring can also be done to cotton for cleaning the fabric or fibers of soil and other debris. Bleaching whitens textiles by removing irregular natural color, most often done with natural fibers. Dye will take more uniformly after a fabric has been bleached. Now, bleach can damage fibers, so temperature and bleach concentration are carefully controlled. For wool, a mild oxidizing agent to bring fabric to a white color or ready-to-dye state. In cotton fabrics and fibers, it removes last of the plant impurities called trash or motes. Another routine finish for cotton is mercerization. This is a permanent alteration where the cotton fibers swell, losing their twisted ribbon shape to revert to a naturally cylindrical form. It makes the fibers more smooth and lustrous, as well as making them stronger and more absorbent. This is also done to good quality cotton thread. If you think of the cotton fiber as like a fettuccine noodle, you can imagine the flatness of the fibers, and after mercerization it's shaped more like a spaghetti noodle. All right, carbonizing. Carbonizing treats wool yarns, wool fabrics, and recycled wool with a hot sulfuric acid to destroy plant matter and other cellulosic fibers, preparing wool for dyeing and to give a better texture to all wool fabrics. Bioscouring of wool to remove plant matter is a more sustainable alternative to carbonizing because it uses lower temperatures and generates less wastewater. Tentering is done when a fabric is Tentering applies crosswise and lengthwise fabric tension during drying so that the fabric meets specifications for grain, width, and count. Heat setting is the process for synthetic fiber fabrics and requires carefully controlled exposure time and heat based upon the fiber content and the finish. When a fabric is tentered off grain, it will be printed off grain. Tentering marks may appear along the selvage edge. Tentering may occur several times during finishing. It is usually the last step in finishing most fabrics and the last time that any issues from finishing can be corrected. Heat setting can be done on synthetic fabrics to lock in memory for yarn twist, fabric crimp, wrinkle resistance, size, and shape. Calendering is a permanent finish for synthetic fibers if the rollers are hot, but temporary for other fibers if the rollers are too cool. It produces a smooth, flat, iron finish on the fabric by passing the fabric through a series of rollers. Now let's take a look at aesthetic finishes. Aesthetic finishes are an applied design. This means finishes are applied to fabric to alter some visual, textural, hand, or other aesthetic component. Applied designs are quicker and less expensive compared to structural design. Sometimes applied designs are known as surface designs because the finish is applied to a fabric surface. Many of these finishes are used for both apparel and interior textiles. Many aesthetic finishes are additive finishes. Something is added to the fabric to produce the desired change. And some are subtractive finishes. Something is removed from the fabric during finishing. For some finishes, the fabric is distorted or altered with heat or pressure, and for other finishes, the fabric is chemically changed. Finish permanence depends on the fiber content and the method. Finishes that will change the luster of a fabric. This changes how a fabric reflects light. An increase in luster may occur over the entire fabric or may only occur in some areas. A glazed finish is when a fabric is treated with a chemical and passed through two rollers. One roller rotates at a much higher speed than the other to smooth and polish the surface and produce the glazed finish. Glazed chintz and polished cotton are examples of fabrics for this finish. Moire finish has a wood grain or a watermarked appearance. Two fabrics are laid face to face so that the two layers are slightly mismatched as they are fed between two metal rollers. Flattened areas along the ribs reflect more light in contrast with normal slightly rounded areas. Another process uses only one layer of fabric passed between two metal rollers. One roller embossed with a pattern that flattens the ribs in areas. Taffeta, file, and other unbalanced plain weave fabrics are sometimes finished with a moire finish. The Schreiner finish presses in hundreds of very fine diagonal lines on yarn surfaces. The finish also flattens yarns, reducing the space between yarns, increasing cover, and making a very smooth fabric. It will produce a soft luster, and it is typically done on sateen, damask, and tricoat. The embossed finish creates flat or raised designs on fabrics. Fabric passes between one flat engraved and one engraved roller for flat designs and between two intermeshing engraved rollers for a raised or a three-dimensional design. Embossing can be done to both flat and pile fabrics. Take a look at Learning Activity 6 on page 215 or 216 in your textbook, and it will refer to swatches in your binder to take a look at these types of finishes. Finishes that will affect drape change the way a fabric falls or hangs over a three-dimensional shape. Fabrics are made stiffer or more flexible by additive or subtractive finishes. Parchmentizing is done to cotton fabrics. The fabric is treated with sulfuric acid. Careful control is required to prevent the fabric from weakening because acid dissolves cotton. The acid partially dissolves the fiber structure and produces a crisp hand and a transparent fabric. The acid can be applied all over the fabric to produce organdy or in localized areas for a pattern. Burnout is the finishing method where printing a solvent on fabric of different generic fibers will dissolve one fiber, leaving sheer areas. Sizing is a finish that adds stiffness, weight, and body to a fabric. See page 217 for more pictures and learning activities 7 and 8 for examples in your binder. Here is a short list of other finishes that will change both the texture and the hand of the fabric. These are all defined on pages 217 through 221 in your textbook, and learning activities 9, 10, and 11 will take you to the swatches in your binder that will give examples of sheared finish, brushed finish, pleated finish, plissé, flocked, embroidery, napped, fold, abrasive wash, chemical wash, silk boil off, and a suede finish. Special purpose finishes. These use chemicals applied to fabrics to enhance the performance for specific end use. These finishes rarely alter fabric appearance, but they address a consumer problem or improve fabric stability for an end use. They add to fabric or production costs and value even though the performance improvement might not be obvious to the consumer. Unfortunately, for some finishes, improved performance in one area means a loss of performance in another. Many finishes use nanotechnology or smart textile technology. The finish responds to the environment. Nano finishing uses significantly less chemicals with few adverse effects. Let's take a look at some of the different categories of special purpose finishes. There's shape retention finishes that control the shrinkage of the fabric, and a durable press finish that can help to control the wrinkling of fabrics. Appearance retention finishes are stain release finish, anti-slip, fume fading resistance, coatings, and light stabilizing finish. You can read about these in your textbook, page 222 to 225, and check out Learning Activity 16. Comfort enhancing finishes. Water repellent finish, a waterproof finish, moisture management finish, water absorption, ultraviolet absorption, anti-static, and phase change finishes. These are covered in your textbook on page 225 to 227. Check out Learning Activities number 17. Biological control finishes. These would be insect and moth control, mold or mildew control finishes, rot-proof finish, antimicrobial finish, and micro-encapsulated finishes. Please check out page 227 to 228 for a description of each of these. And then think about, can you name 2 textile products likely to have an insect control finish? Can you list 5 textiles that might have an antimicrobial finish with at least one apparel, interior, and technical product represented? And the last of our special finish categories are safety-related finishes, one of them being a flame retardant, or referred to as an FR finish, and a light reflecting finish. These each will protect the wearer of that garment. So our 5 basic categories of our special purpose finishes are shape retention, appearance retention, comfort enhancing, biological control, and safety related. Those are our 5 categories. And that is it for our finishes. Please be sure to read your chapter and check out all your learning activities.